Hey everybody, happy Friday. Welcome to the Quarantined Food Well Alliance studios here in East Atlanta. We're bringing you some weekly updates from around the local food movement and speaking to farmers and local food leaders here every week. We are excited today to talk with a good friend of, actually two very good friends of mine, Will Sellers at Wholesome, Georgia, and Tenisio of Nature's Candy Farms, and many other affiliations, a man of many talents. So we're looking forward to hearing about what they have going on. Here in a second, I did just want to give you a quick weekly roundup of some things that I've been hearing about and seeing happening in the food space. As you know or can imagine, there is a lot of activity, a lot of collaboration, and great partnerships happening. So wanted to just shed some light on that. If you tuned in last week, you'll have seen our interview with Sarah Lamond of Community Farmers Markets. They launched their online store for the first time last week. Have gone through their process. Essentially, you order from Wednesday to Friday as the store is open, and you pick it up next Wednesday. We heard today that they had 92% accuracy from their first online market, so just wanted to congratulate them. They've put this together in about 2 weeks, so to be able to get 92% accuracy is a really phenomenal effort. From what I understand, a lot of volunteers went into that effort, so please, if you are able, please donate to CFM so that we're not reinforcing the idea that food laborers don't deserve compensation. I think at this time it's very clear that people who are working in fruit are frontline workers, and we need to support them as much as possible. So hats off to CFM. We'll hear more from Will here in a second, but they've got a great partnership aimed at restaurant workers, making sure that restaurant workers who have been laid off still have access to food. So we're looking forward to hearing from them. Nice to see you, Chef Zoo. The Farmer Fund looks like that will hopefully be starting to disperse funding in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully next week, but still a few things to line up there. There has been a significant amount of funding that's gone into that, so we're very excited and very grateful for everyone who has supported. That money will be going out to farmers soon. We are going to continue to fundraise to try to get as much money to farmers as possible as they navigate this difficult transition. We held one more thing before I get into some food well stuff. There was the National Young Farmers Coalition has put together an amazing breakdown of online resources for farmers who are looking to create an online store. Definitely check out the National Young Farmers Coalition breakdown if you're still trying to determine which system might be best for you. They have thoroughly investigated all of them, so hats off to the Farmers Coalition. Food Well Alliance this week, we partnered with Atlanta and Park Pride to hold a community garden listening session. Came away with some really good takeaways for ways that we can support community gardens, and also what community gardens are going through. There's a big desire to donate food that has been grown in community gardens, so we look forward to supporting them in growing the food and getting it distributed to people in need. We also... Let's see here. We've as part of our effort with community gardens to increase their capacity, we've hired Kari Diop of Think Green as a community garden and expert, composting expert. So he has been out to several gardens to help them get their production up, and all of that should help increase the amount of food we're able to donate. So glad to have you on board, Kari, and if you're a community gardener, maybe look out for Kari at a garden near you. Again, you can request support, labor support for your garden by emailing gardens@foodwellalliance.org, and somebody will get back to you to see how we can help out. That is limited to the 5-county metro Atlanta area, but we're certainly trying to help as many gardens as we can. Last thing, pretty major project, if you've been following our story today, is the Bucket Brigade. We've partnered with Councilman Calloway in East Point to provide 150 bucket gardens. They're going to come in sets of 3 that have peppers, tomatoes, and parsley, a couple of different types of parsley, a couple of different types of peppers as well. Those seedlings came from Metro Atlanta Urban Farm as well as Urban Sprout Farm. So thanks for all the hard work to get those seedlings together. Those will be distributed today in East Point. So thanks, Councilman Callaway, for reaching out and trying to get something going. And we're very excited to start figuring out how we can help more home gardeners. So this is hopefully the very beginning of what we're trying to do for home gardens and home gardeners. So we look forward to supporting more projects to do with that. I think that is about it for the roundup of the week. Just wanted to thank Catherine Kennedy and Sarah and Eva Dickerson for joining us last week. Excited now to turn our attention to Wholesome Wave, Georgia, and about to bring on my good friend Will Sellers here to chat about... What's up, Cam? Good to see you, Plantlanta. Hi, Lily. All right, so we are waiting here for Will Sellers at Wholesome Wave, Georgia. Sometimes the connection gets a little spotty when we're trying to add somebody on. Hey, there's Will.
Hey, man, how's it going? Reporting to you live from my garage, James.
Oh, wow, a slight change of plans, I understand.
Slight change of plans due to the pandemic, but great to be on. And thank you for the amazing work that Foodwell Alliance is doing. You and I share a common organization with Foodwell. So even though I'm with Wholesome Wave, Georgia right now, bam, Foodwell Alliance cap in the house.
That's right.
Foodwell alumni.
Right. Beautiful.
Our shirts are almost similar too, James. So this is our new Wholesome Wave Georgia Food is Love t-shirt. We're rolling these out this month. Super excited. Shouts out to M. Rouse, who helped me to kind of get on the technology. James, tech is not my first thing. I still like the paper. As you see, look around, you see the binders, and you'll even see my bins here in the garage. So this is my storage. This is my storage platform.
Beautiful. Yeah, I know you're a pen and paper guy, but thanks. Shout out to M for getting you all situated here on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Hey, by the way, did you design that t-shirt?
No. So we work with an amazing group, Sasa & Co., who's been very, very generous to us. And so they've helped us for a number of months now. M leads all our communication stuff, so she works very closely with them to produce the kind of great material that we're putting out. And so look for more stuff from us. We're really excited about the work that M's doing. Also, Susan Desmond is our development manager. And Sarah, big shout out to her, because this work that we're going to talk about, she's leading it. And then also Elisa Moore, who knows everything about markets all across the state. And this year, James, we're up to 63 markets. Last year, we were at 59. This year, we're at 63. So we've been hearing a lot from folks dealing with the pandemic around the state.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful to hear. And I just wanted to back up just for a quick second, because you and I have had a lot of these discussions. But just to contextualize for everyone, we had another jobs report come out on Thursday, an additional 5 million plus people unemployed. I think that brings the number total close to 20 million people, if not above by now. So a lot of need that in general, but certainly that Wholesome Wave is able to focus on. A lot of people enrolling in SNAP. A lot of people need food access for the short term and possibly for the long term. So can you just talk a little bit about all of the work Wholesome Wave's been doing to help people get enrolled, and also just let people know what they can do to access fresh, healthy food?
Absolutely, James. So we were started in 2009 by a group of citizens who saw a need for food access. And their big idea was to link food access. Local food is very nutritious, but it tends to be a bit more on the pricier side. So their big idea was to link local food access through farmers markets with what we used to call food stamps. We now call those SNAP benefits. And behind me, so this is what we have at our markets around the state. And this is an EBT card. That's how the benefit is delivered now, just like a debit card or credit card. So what we've been doing is working with farmers markets, working with some of our urban farmers. So Illuma's a farm stand. Brent at Free Will Farm, he's a farm stand, and also the outstanding work that they do, True Living Well. They're part of our network also, just to give you an idea of here in Metro Atlanta. But what we have done historically is really enable folks who've been receiving that SNAP benefits, what we used to call food stamps, allow them to go to a market, swipe that card, and then we doubled that purchasing power up to $50 per visit. So we started in 2009 with that. In 2014, we were selected as a DFACS community partner. The Division of Family and Children Services for the state of Georgia administers the SNAP program. So since 2014, we've had the ability to screen, enroll, and renew Georgians across the state in SNAP benefits at no charge to citizens, and then, James, at no charge to the partner organizations. So you mentioned the jobs report. We know that the pandemic has caused massive disruption through no fault of employees and no fault of owners of the enterprise. So what we did, talking as a team, we're really small, 5 of us, everyone can kind of jump in and really lead an effort. So we started talking about, we receive a lot of support from the restaurant community. And the restaurant community to our movement has been a critical stakeholder. So one way we wanted to lend a helping hand was to reach out to the Georgia Restaurant Association, the Georgia Hotel and Lodging Association, because hotels have restaurants too, and just really put that information in their hands so they could push it out to their members. We thought that was the most efficient way to get started. We just launched it last month. We've had a very positive reception, not only from the organizations and the owners of the enterprise, the managers of the restaurants, but also from folks on the ground who've been displaced. So we expanded a bit. We reached out to the Giving Kitchen as well. We reached out to a local church in East Point, Impact, which I think is in Councilmember Calloway's district. So shouts out to Impact Church family. They're definitely doing church differently there. And then we also reached out to the city of East Point, the city of Hateville, and then also, James, the city of College Park. So we sit in our office right off of Cleveland Avenue. So we can look outside and see the city of East Point sign. So we've localized our initial efforts to focus on the Tri-Cities, really be very thoughtful in reaching out to the restaurant community to help. But the partner organization for us can be the restaurant. Partner organization for us can be a community group, and we do some work with some small churches. So we can work with anyone who really is focused on helping their community access SNAP benefits.
Yeah, and I was regarding the doubling. Is that how can if I was let's just say, how do you guys get most of your funding to be able to double those dollars, and then how can people who are tuning in right now support that?
Well, thank you for the question. We're very fortunate that we have USDA support, which allows us to do our outreach work, and then also allows us to really provide for the great talent we have on our team and Elisa and Sarah. So that's number one. Number two, like many of the organizations in the space, we raise a lot of that money privately through individuals and then also foundations. And then one of the things that is impacting us, like other organizations, is do we have a signature event this year? Because of social distancing, we believe that folks will not be that excited, even once the governor says we can go back to work, right? Of being in a large space. So we're taking it step by step. We're waiting on things to really normalize whenever that happens, to figure out how do we participate, how do we get involved. But individuals are critical to this work. One of the programs that M has been spearheading is what we call our Wholesome Heroes. And that program has been growing month over month. So we're really excited that individuals, James, from $5 to north of $100 have said, this is important. I want to help my neighbors. And our SNAP Hospitality Outreach Program is just that. We're in community. Oh, this is another important fact. I get so excited, James, you might have to stop me to kind of keep me going on this. But when you call us, when you reach out to us, there is no prompt, there is no chat box. You are calling a live person, and they're able to walk you through the process. So if you call this number, and for your folks who are in the community, that number is 678 631 7101. 678 631 7101. Sarah, Elisa, and Mackenzie, they want their phone numbers that phone number to be out there. We want that to be something that's top of mind for people in need. So please share that far and wide. You can always go to our website, wholesomewavegeorgia.org, to find more about the work that we're doing. But we're really excited that we can provide this service free of charge to citizens, free of charge to organizations, and then also from Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., you call that number, you'll have a person who can walk you through a process, which a lot of us, James, quite frankly, don't have much context around. But the pandemic has caused all of us to think differently through no fault of our own, no fault of the organizations that provide our livelihood. We find ourselves in a different place. And so we're glad to be a resource during this difficult time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really appreciate all the details, and thanks to Em for dropping in the phone number there for anybody who needs help applying for SNAP. I was just hoping we could just broaden at least our scope a little bit. You know, Foodwell Alliance is very much focused in the metro Atlanta area.
Yeah.
Obviously, Wholesome Wave is statewide and also part of a national infrastructure as well. But I was just kind of wondering if you could give us a little insight about maybe how different parts of the state are being impacted, and just any sort of trends that you may be seeing as well.
James, thank you. So to give you this stat to put it in perspective, we'll start with Metro Atlanta first, because that's home to many of us. Over 50% of the state of Georgia lives in Metro Atlanta. So in Metro Atlanta alone, there are 300,000 hospitality workers. 300,000. So if they were a city, they would be over half the size of the city of Atlanta proper. The city of Atlanta is 500,000 residents, plus or minus. And wow. So you look at 300,000 hospitality workers. That is 60% of the city of Atlanta, so that's number one. What we're seeing across the state, and I'll go with our farmers markets first, because that's where we started. That's our legacy in this movement. In Athens, they're doing amazing work to do personal shopping, implement online delivery, and really think about how do they pivot to almost like a mini Amazon, which we're seeing a lot of the organizations like CFM do, where they're getting really smart around what customers are ordering, experimenting with fulfillment. To your point, shouts out to the CFM team. Katie, y'all are doing an amazing job. 90+% in 2 weeks. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's really impressive. We look over in the work that's going on in Augusta with Rebecca and the work that she's doing with her team there. They're using a smaller service, a third-party service, to actually pick food up and deliver food to their customers. So almost like a mini DoorDash there. So really exciting what's going on in Augusta. And then also we go over to Savannah, which is one of our legacy markets. Jeb and his team do an amazing job there. They have the highest number of redemptions in the state. That Savannah market, the Forsyth market, is amazing. If y'all have a chance to go, drive to Chatham County on a Saturday, it's worth the trip just to see it and how they're building community there in the park. They have implemented social distancing. They've got hand washing stations. One person takes the produce, James, delivers you the produce. Another person takes the means of payment, processes that means of payment, and then you can continue your shopping experience. So I think what we're seeing with the pandemic is, one, all of us, and this is a tech word, we're pivoting to how do we serve our community better. That's number one. Number two, we were already kind of on technology, much better than me, by the way. But now technology is really becoming the way that we reevaluate what all of us are doing and saying, how can we be more efficient? How can we do this better to respond to the need? And then I think what's really exciting in the space is having the ability to kind of learn from the big guys, Amazon, DoorDash, Uber, and begin to put discipline around logistics. Shouts out to Robin Shannon and the team over at Global Growers. I know they've been providing some of their assets, vans, things of that nature to just kind of help folks navigate and make it through this unprecedented time that we're in. So the trend that we're seeing, more collaboration. The trend that we're seeing, leveraging of technology. The trend that we're seeing, and we're super proud of, we're building community in different ways. One of the things that we'll be working on, and we'll probably be working with Georgia Organics, our sister organization in this, another statewide organization, is really helping the state of Georgia understand, James, that we need the ability here to access SNAP benefits online. Yes. Right now in the state of Georgia, for the community we serve, if you want to use your SNAP benefits to go to any market in the state of Georgia that we work with, again, we have 63, you would have to physically go to the site, swipe your EBT card, work with someone to fulfill that transaction, and then go back home. So the disparity for us is we want to normalize payment. We want to normalize the shopping experience. So just like in Macon, in our outstanding market, where everyone who shops receives tokens, so there's no stigma. We're all paying for things with the same means of currency. If Elisa were sitting next to me, she'd use the word the same script. Again, another dynamic Wholesome Way of Georgia team member. So we want all Georgians to have the ability to leverage technology, procure locally grown food, and again, be a part of this vibrant, dynamic community that's responding to an unprecedented challenge.
Yeah, and I think it's a really important point that you bring up because, for a couple of reasons. One, I think we certainly forget sometimes how easy it can be to order things online. Once you can do it and you get used to it, and you got your Amazon Prime account,
I don't have Prime, James. I no. I'm still going to the store and picking goods up, so no, I don't have Prime.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're probably still ordering out of the Sears catalog, so that's not. But just to double down on the point is that if you are a SNAP, an EBT user, you are in a higher likelihood of having some kind of underlying condition. You may be eating more sodium-infused foods, and so we really need to make sure that they can safely buy healthy food rather than making folks go to do anything in person at all right now. So it's a really important point that you bring up.
Yeah, and we'd love to work with Food Well Alliance because y'all, again, I mean, the work you're doing down at East Point with the Urban Agriculture Plan, working with the Atlanta Regional Commission. I know Sarah's just knocking it out of the park with that work. We would love to talk to you all about kind of beginning in the 5-county area just to talk to policymakers about that. Because for us, change requires collaboration, right? And so in order for us to do our job better, in order for us to function at a high level, partnership is just a part of what we do. And so we want to work with organizations who have special capabilities. Y'all have got some great storytelling ability, definitely a great ability to engage with markets and farms and community gardens. So shouts out to Fred and Flannery for the work that they're doing over there, and Jeolu. We really want to think about how do we partner with organizations who can help us be a force multiplier. And so for us, really closing that digital divide that you're talking about, James, that's going to be a big area for us to tackle post-pandemic. But right now, we're focused on our restaurant industry friends. The average wage for a restaurant worker in the state of Georgia is $9.73 per hour. So if you think about that and then you factor in all your other costs, these are hardworking Georgians who need all the support we can give them. So those are the things that we're thinking about. And our superpower, our unique ability is to be able to screen, enroll, and renew folks for SNAP benefits. And we're proud to do that every day.
Well, we're certainly proud of the work you and your amazing team are doing.
Thank you.
And thank you for all of the effort and energy going in towards helping people at the most critical juncture we've seen in a very, very long time in this country and around the world. So Thank you for all your effort, Will. We'll continue checking in with Wholesome Wave throughout this pandemic.
Great.
Definitely look forward to supporting y'all and doing whatever it is we can to make sure that people have the access they need.
Yeah, James, and to your point, because I was so excited about talking about the work, I didn't answer an earlier question you asked. To engage with us, go to wholesomewavegeorgia.org. And if you like the work we're doing, sign up for our newsletter. Again, Em and Susan, mainly Em leading this, she's doing an amazing job. Em is an amazing team member. She's a great storyteller. But we're capturing those rich stories from our farmers market friends, from our shopping friends, and then also great community partners like Food Well Alliance to really lift up the work that's being done. So please visit our website. If you like what you see, please subscribe to our newsletter and become part of our community. That would be great.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Will. We'll talk to you soon.
Hold on before we sign off.
There you go.
James. Thank you.
Alumni in the building.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, buddy. All right. Great seeing a good friend of mine, Will Sellers. Nice to see anybody in person these days, in person. And we're going to switch gears here to talk with a good friend of mine, Tenisio Seanima at Nature's Candy Farms. He has been working on all kinds of things, garden installations, food delivery. He's a yoga instructor, and we've got a project we'll be working on with him hopefully next week. Tenisio, how you doing?
Doing good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
All right, hold 1 second. I don't know why the volume went down on the audio, but let me try and fix that real quick here. Excuse me. I'm in the middle of lunch.
Okay.
Okay, I hear it now. Go right ahead.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, you may be in your garden right now. I was wondering if you might be able to turn the camera around and show folks what you've been working on the last couple weeks.
All right, well, there's a little stevia plant. Got a few of those planted out here. Got some other plants that I started in the early spring, some onions over there, basil. Got my fruit trees here, my blackberry that I need to put in the ground. Got this pear tree that I'm doing some air layering on. So if y'all want to learn about what air layering is about, you can hit me up about that. This is my Satsuma mandarin tree. That thing is doing very prolific. Let me just keep this thing at the ground, hold the suspense. And then boom, this is Nature's Candy Farms 2.0. We've got a lot of tilling that we've done recently. Took that broad fork and just put it in the ground and tilled it up. And as a result, I've got these watermelon out here. They're doing very, very well despite these little cold mornings that we've been having. In this row right here, I've planted some okra. So they've been in the ground about 4 days. So the seeds should be emerging soon. I'll be putting the 3 sisters in this bed. I'll be adding the 4th sister to the last bed all the way in the back there. If y'all don't know about the 4 sisters, holla at me. I can teach you about that. Got some tomatoes that I've got planted up in here, along with some basil and some other companion plants. And then finally, some bell peppers, along with my little small stash of brassicas, some kale, some collard greens, and some other kale varieties. So that's what I've got going on at this site. And then I've got another site out in Decatur that I'll be starting to do some work on here pretty soon. So as you can see from the goggles on my head, I've been out here doing a little bit of mowing and weed whacking. So yeah, glad to be able to debut that to the world, James. Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, man. Glad to give you the opportunity to show people what you've been working on. People who are tuning in may know you from a variety of different, aspects of your life, whether it be yoga or whether it be through work at Georgia Organics or Truly Living Well, or, certainly through your own farm work. So I was kind of wondering if you could let people know how all of that experience, how you're kind of helping people with all the knowledge you've gained over the last few years in terms of building gardens and distributing food.
Yeah, so it's a great question. Really, I could say my professional work really started actually as a garden educator. I used to have a small contract with a local property manager here in the city of Atlanta via my affiliation with Habisha Incorporated. So shouts out to Habisha. And what we did at that time is we actually managed the gardens that they had at some of their apartment buildings. And these specific apartment buildings were for senior residents. And so because those seniors also, I'm sure, had some previous experience, many of them did, with gardening, it was also an exchange of knowledge to where, you know, we would show them some of the techniques that we felt like would be applicable to their site, being in an urban environment. And a lot of them would pass on a lot of great knowledge to us. So it was a great exchange, even though we were the quote unquote service provider. So that's where my work started actually in 2011. Eventually I became the sales manager for Truly Living Well. And so really I've honed in on that sales side of this work for quite a long time now, to where eventually I started doing e-commerce myself in 2014 with the advent of my website for Nature's Candy Farms. And so a lot of what people are now finally taking heed to, especially due to the COVID-19 effects, Nature's Candy Farms has actually been doing now for about 6 years. And I've basically had a CSA where people can purchase food. We deliver it to their homes on their scheduled date. And now a lot of those same people, you know, they've obviously appreciated what we've been doing all these years, but it's really sunk in how valuable a service like this has been for them now that they almost have no choice but to rely upon an e-commerce platform. And so with that being said, you know, shouts out to all those who are now finally taking heed to that. A lot of the farmers are really beginning to engage in that process of taking orders online, delivering the food. I appreciate what you and Will were talking about, because definitely one of the, we'll say, opportunities that I've been waiting on is for, you know, the SNAP benefits to finally be available online. So I get a lot of requests for that, and unfortunately I do have to turn down those requests. But I think the moment that that opens up, we're going to see just an entire new normal, if you will, regarding people's access to local food who normally haven't been able to get it, because it, again, really goes beyond the quote unquote food desert concept. It goes really down to the equitability of people being able to get up and go to that food. So even if you go to Marietta, even if you go to some parts of Buckhead, there's not grocery stores within 5 miles of each other. They're spread out as well too. But people in those communities can jump in their Mercedes, they can jump in their different modes of transportation and get to the food. But when you come out to areas, you know, such as East Point, if you come out to Donald Lee Hollowell, you know, formerly Bankhead, and many of those places, a person can't jump on the bus and go that far. And even if they do, they can only use one of those little push baskets. So their, you know, ability to bring home a certain amount of food is limited. So if we can get SNAP and EBT available for the farmers to be able to deliver food that's local, that's healthy, and at a great price, I think that's going to be a huge game changer.
I agree, and it's on a multitude of different levels that would help people out. You know, on the farmer side, having greater access to more customers, and certainly on the customer side, having more options for healthy food. We know that this can not only build community, but it can also build a healthy community. And certainly in a pandemic, that's something that, you know, is very obvious right now. It's been a problem in this country for a long time, and you know, hopefully this pandemic can be some kind of source for positive change like the one you're talking about.
Yes.
I wanted to chat with you a little bit about the garden installs and consultations that you do. But before we get into that, and I may remind you to do this again, but you mentioned people reaching out to you during our little garden tour. What's the best way for people to reach out to you? Because I know you've been doing a little bit of social media distancing.
Yeah, so you know, I'm old school, y'all. I know, you know, the skin is smooth, and you know, I still look like I'm 20 plus years old. But you know, when I was in high school, we didn't even have email, we didn't have cell phones or any of that. So I am just asking people to consider emailing me. You know, if you try to hit me up on social media, it may be 3, 4, or 5 days before I get to you. So my email is naturescandyfarms@gmail.com. That's naturescandyfarms@gmail.com. You can even hit me up on my phone. That's 678-600-1245. Either of those is fine. I do prefer email just because it allows me to really keep track of, who's reached out to me so that nothing slips through the cracks. But yeah, I'd love to hear from people because, again, what I'm able to do is both virtually and in person give people a real deep consultation, so that they can get a good grasp on what kind of landscape they're working with and how it can produce food for them. And we've got different ranges of services. So yeah, if people hit me up, I can, get into that with them into further detail.
Cool. One thing you've been participating in with the steering committee over in East Point with the city agriculture planning process. A lot of that's kind of been not quite put on hold, but in terms of like the formal discussions, obviously taking a different format. I was wondering if you could kind of provide maybe a little high-level update of how the steering committee is thinking about this pandemic, which, the steering committee wasn't designed for any type of emergency response. It was sort of more long-term planning, but I was wondering if there may have been any discussion about any opportunity to collaborate, in the here and now in the face of this pandemic.
Yeah, most certainly. It's actually a very timely question. We had, I want to say, probably our fourth or fifth meeting of the process last night. We've been, of course, doing these meetings now in webinar form for about the last 2 to 3 meetings. And what we discussed last night is both in the present moment and moving forward into the future, how can we ensure that we really address some of the low-hanging fruit with regards to systemic change and systemic solutions for people. So one of the things that we're actually putting together right now is an actual resource guide to where people can actually go and access information regarding how to get started with farming, where to go find food, how can the city government actually provide them support in this moment in time. We're even putting together a land database that's specific to East Point so that not only people who are looking for land, but also people who are looking to donate land to be used for farms as well as community and urban gardens can begin to have that exchange. And so there'll be a lot of different categories within that resource guide, but we've actually just started the process on compiling the different links and contacts. We're also going to be putting out a real solid communication strategy about what we've been doing as a steering committee so that, again, we really become like an at-large advocate and not just this body of people who are kind of paternalistically speaking on behalf of the whole community. We really want to almost mimic the neighborhood planning unit system that the city of Atlanta uses for residents to be able to communicate with city officials. So we're going to create a communications channel. And then, it may not seem as applicable, but I'm going to at least make it as applicable as I can. We really want to start to look at long-term funding opportunities for this work. Now, again, it is what it is. We all have a passion. We're all going to continue to do this work no matter what. But if we look at, of course, how the economic system has already been interrupted, we need to be then figuring out how are we going to solve that problem for ourselves in ways that are creative, in ways that are taking advantage of resources that have also just been sitting there, untapped into. And so we've been having a lot of discussions on both a municipal level as well as a federal level. Where are those funds at that need to be tapped into right now for the next, 6 months to the next 3 years, if even, and put those funds to use relative to the needs of people as a result of what COVID-19 has addressed. And so this goes way beyond just the whole stimulus package idea. This is really getting more into programmatic access of funds so that we can take these ideas that we're all passionate about and really put them into a sustainable category, by way of being able to access the tools that we need, pay people that we need to get out there and be servants for the community. And so I'm happy to say that the city of East Point is very open to that idea. They've even said, look, it doesn't even have to be that we hire staff. If we need to just do a memorandum of understanding with community members who are the true subject matter experts, we'll put our name on the line with many of those people and go for it. Now, of course, we got to take this through the chain of command. We got to talk to city council and get their approval. But I can tell you now for sure, staff are definitely on board. And I think we'll be able to get a win from the city council on this as well, too.
That is really awesome to hear. And I know my friend Jamie Rosenthal is somewhere here in the chat, and I need to connect y'all because, yeah, y'all thinking about things in a very similar way. It's amazing to hear just the similar themes coming up. And I do think that this is an area where a lot of the local food movement is starting to coalesce. There are resources out there already. There is land out there already. How do we start activating what is already there, using the skilled resources that are already there? So I definitely applaud that effort, and I'm glad y'all are having those conversations. I love the idea that you brought up briefly of almost like the land exchange, some kind of a platform or just any kind of methodology or whatever, where you can say, I'm looking for land to grow on, or I'm looking to put my land up so someone can grow on it. Have you ever seen any examples like that, or what's kind of your thought on how that might work?
I can't say that I can recall anything off the top of my head, but I know that the idea wasn't one that I felt like I made up. I felt like I'd heard of people doing that before, whether it be through, some of the,
Well, it's like a spin farming concept, really, isn't it?
You could say that, actually, yeah, now that you mentioned that, because spin farming, for those who aren't familiar with the small plot intensive farming network, basically, spin teaches people how to grow on sub-acre plots of land, so an acre or below. They did a lot of research up in Pennsylvania at one of the universities there where they were able to maximize production on an acre to where they were actually able to gross $120,000 3 years in a row on an acre of land. And so what they are really trying to teach is how people can just go to local neighbors. Like, again, this is Nature's Candy Farm, just to shoot that camera around again. I mean, there's a house there, there's a house there, and there's probably like, a 12th or a 10th of an acre, right? Nature's Candy Farms 1.0 was on a similar plot of land, and I grossed $30,000 off of that amount of space. So even though I know the question isn't about the financial aspects, I just want people to understand, like, you can get a lot of production out of a small piece of land. So, yeah, I think you could say that spin farming indirectly has been an advocate for that, and maybe some of even the land trusts have made those opportunities available. And I do know that there's a few farmers in our community. I know the Amos brothers, they have done this kind of work, so hopefully they're watching. Shouts out to those two twins there. But has been done officially? I don't know, James. And, I think even if it has, the more the merrier, and I think it's a great opportunity for cities in particular to get themselves into the game with very low-hanging fruit, because a lot of cities have unused property. It's just sitting there. And even last night on the call when we brought this point up, one of the city staff felt like, well, we can tell y'all about some of our land, but it's probably not the best land usable. And a lot of the farmers on the line were just smiling because we're like, look, what y'all may think is unusable might actually be the perfect land, So let us just look at it, and we'll tell you for sure if it really works, because any urban farmer knows, as our brother Eugene Alala Cook says, you got to grow where you are. So we'll figure out how to make it work. So I don't know if it's going to be official, but I definitely hope to make it a trend. I can say that for sure.
Well, and I would, just to echo that point, I don't know how many farmers who have started growing in the last 15 years who started with good soil.
Yeah. I mean, again, look at this. I mean, this is me putting myself on blast. Do you see my soil? Like, this is not great soil, people. Yet, everything you see out there is growing just due to the techniques that I've learned on how to make sure that this soil is productive. In other words, I've done a lot of tilling and then covered up, not tilling, amending. And I've covered up the amendment with, the topsoil was there. But, I mean, that stuff right there, I mean, look, it is nothing ideal about a lot of the urban farm environments. And the fact that we can pull it off lets me know anybody can do it. So, with that being said, cities, it's time for y'all to get involved and trust the subject matter experts. We can make it happen.
And I think just to go, to double down on the point really is that part of the overall service, we tend to look at what farmers are producing in terms of the end product. Here's the tomato that I grew.
Right.
But part of the overall is value is the education piece, but it's the land management piece as well. You're literally going to improve the land that you're on by by making sure it's absorbing more carbon, making sure that it's more resilient in general. It's not going to just wash away all the topsoil because a lot of rain came through. Like there's so many layers beyond just the end product, and I think that is hopefully the discussion we can start having, and really not even have the discussion, just start showing and proving that it can be done on a bigger scale than it already is.
Sure, indeed, I agree 100% with that.
Cool. Well, this was a great conversation. I've loved all the insight that you provided. Just wanted to kind of give you the sort of the last word in this interview. If there was anything you wanted to say, if you wanted to remind folks again how they can get in touch with you, that would be great.
Yeah, you all again can hit me up at naturescandyfarms@gmail.com. You can also check out my website, which is naturescandyfarms.square.site. So literally just naturescandyfarms.square and then .site. You can not only, of course, be able to learn more about my garden coaching services, but you can actually purchase some food. And, Nature's Candy Farms is a concierge service, so we offer a 100% local package. But we also want to meet people where they're at. So we actually go out and we acquire food from many of the local stores and other farmers and provide that to the community just so that people can get as many options as they want. But what we do draw the line on is the quality of the food that we offer to our customers. So we utilize the USDA certified organic standards, certified naturally grown, and then the Environmental Working Group's Clean 15 list. Those are our three major standards, as well as the certified animal humane. We do offer local eggs, as well as certified organic and animal welfare approved, and very humane produced eggs. So just check out the website; you'll see more. But more than anything, I encourage people buy from that local section. Put that money back into the hard work that these local farms are putting out there. I do want to acknowledge, I see a comment and I agree with it. It's from Roots Down, Georgia. It says we need to pay farms for service and not for product. I'm going to say, I think it's a both and. The fact of the matter is, farming is a public service. None of us are going to survive without someone growing food. So if you're not going to grow it for yourself, it's a public service, no different than firemen, police officers, ambulance, you name it. And I will say that still farmers are businesses. So I encourage farmers to always keep themselves in the loop, stay sharp, learn some new business acumen, and figure out how to get your product out there, because we do have the best product that there is to offer. And we should be proud enough to make sure that people know that, and they give us a fair wage for our food. But appreciate the time, James, and keep up the good work you all are doing at Food Well Alliance. And hint, we got a DJ gig to do here soon, James. So
that's right. I was supposed to go without talking about that, man. Yeah. Okay. So we're not going to give too much away here, but sometime next week we're going to be hosting what we're calling a greenhouse party with Tenisio, hoping to really give folks a chance to unwind, get out of their heads a little bit, try to relax, and also, throw out some comments down there. It's a chance for us to connect virtually. Tenisio is going to kind of be guiding the greenhouse party, throwing out some shout out, letting some people know who's doing some really good work. So we definitely want to uplift the farmer. It's going to be very farmer focused, and we're very excited to finally be rolling that out after one or two tech challenges.
Hey man, it's just all about doing the workout, man. You can't get out there and flex your muscles until you do a little workout. So we had to get through all the technicalities to make this work. But I think you all are going to really enjoy what we have to offer you here. We'll say it's in the spirit of DJ D Nice. So stay tuned and get ready.
Yep, stay tuned. All right, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. It was good to see you.
Peace, my man.
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks. thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Thanks to everyone who's dropped comments in there. We certainly appreciate you. It was lovely to see some of my teammates. I saw Kate. I saw Sarah hopping in there, so it was nice to see you guys. Jamie, good to see you as well. Cam, I saw you dropping in there. Appreciate you, as well as everybody else. Great job, Em. Just following up Will Sellers' remarks with all the key info, website, phone number, and all of that. So just to quickly recap, we spoke with Will Sellers at Wholesome Wave. Just the amazing work they're doing with the restaurant community. Obviously, a lot of unemployment in that sector, and Wholesome Wave's been doing a magnificent job of making sure people have the benefits they need, making sure they can maintain access to fresh, healthy food. And of course, my good friend Tenisio Seanima of Nature's Candy Farms. Been doing garden installations, been doing a lot of consultation, also local food delivery. Check out Nature's Candy Farms, as well as, and remember, he's taking a social media break, so we were glad to get him on here. But send him an email at naturescandyfarms@gmail.com if you'd like to stay connected. Nice to see you, Julia. We are wrapping this chat up, so we'll look forward to talking to you next week. We're doing these every Friday at 1, usually featuring at least 2 interviews. We try to get a farmer on each week. Next week, we're hoping to speak with Bill Green at Common Market Southeast and Willie Miller of Miller City Farms, both doing fantastic work, getting food to people during this time of great need. So I appreciate y'all tuning in, and please support Wholesome Wave, Georgia, and Nature's Candy Farms if at all possible. Y'all have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you next week.